more of more of a sidestep away from my normal practice. But yeah, it was fun, and you know, I definitely played much more sort of synth punky kind of clubs and more underground venues with that record. That was good.
Got you. As far as going back to the Night Terrors, is there any plans on the making for releasing a full album down the road? These circumstances, you know.
Yeah, actually, we're about halfway through making a new record right now. So Sarah, Lim, and I have been writing for about a year, and we've got heaps of material. So there's definitely a Night Terrors record. I've got one more solo record that's coming out sometime soon, and then the next one will be Night Terrors. Yeah.
I got you. Beautiful. You know, keep me posted so I can play your stuff on the radio. People will go crazy.
Okay.
Some people, you know, depend on the community. Some people know your stuff, but I imagine, well, Goblin and Klaus Simonetti, that's sort of well known, so to speak, in Europe and Italy, but they have toured here in the United States, but they are not, you know, that popular. But for sure, if I begin playing your music in the radio, you know, people are going to start calling you, man.
Fabulous.
That's the idea. With now that you can tour and you know, and I assume that you don't do live streaming. Is now that you have your music on Bandcamp, is helping to sort of, you know, pay the bills in the meantime when you're not touring? You have an assistant from the Australian government for the touring musician now that they're beyond the control, they cannot tour. You get a bit of assistance.
I mean, Australian government has always been very good because they know we've only got like 6 towns you can play in Australia, and not that, you know, the money is really to be made in America and in Europe and other parts of the world. So, but you know, right now, obviously, there's no way for us to fly internationally, so we would be waiting. But Bandcamp is fabulous. Like we make money from Bandcamp all the time, and it's really the only thing that we have that generates money. Like Spotify is absolutely terrible. These days, all your music goes up on YouTube, which is actually fine. I don't have a problem with that at all, because I think people discover our music through YouTube and then buy the records. But Bandcamp is great. Like, you know, for people, it's a great place to find new music. People, when we did the Narcoleptic record, all we did was put it on Bandcamp and it sold out. Like, we didn't advertise it, we didn't send it to reviews or anything, just sold out through Bandcamp. And, you know, that's very unusual music. So it showed us that, you know, the situation has changed a lot in the last 10 years. And we've always been lucky to have labels to work with. But I think that, you know, a new artist could really even not worry about that, because people are listening, people are discovering their own music. Yeah.
In terms of the volume, when you say, you know, when you, like yourself, right, or with Electric or Narcoleptor or, you know, the Night Terror, when you guys do a new album, what number are we talking about? You guys put together, you know, you go to a factory and try to cut a deal for like 200 records, 500 CDs, that kind of, what number are you talking about? Or higher than that?
Well, usually, I mean, Nosferatunes is my label, so the Narcoleptic stuff has been, so we released it through that label, and that's the only one I could really say, because I don't know how many copies the other labels do of our records. But with the Narcoleptic, we keep it small. I mean, it's only like 200 copies because we want it to be collectible.
And then the 200 go fast.
Yeah. And that's it. Yeah, and that's it, and that's fun. I mean, I like collecting records, and I like having one of a small number as well. And you know, the Narcoleptor, you know, we put the whole record up in Bandcamp. Everyone can hear it, but to get the vinyl, it's more of a special thing. And I really like running record label because, you know, we put special stuff in with the records. There's a poster in the Narcoleptor record, and the new one has special in there. And I love sending records to people. Actually, one of my friends, Darren Sylvester, who's a fabulous musician and visual artist, told me that he started his own label, and that the most enjoyable thing in his life was getting the orders in and packaging them up and writing a little note to people and sending them. And I completely agree. It's really fun, particularly in lockdown when you're stuck in your house and you're sending packages to people all over the world. So I really enjoy that. So Nitros works with labels. I work with labels for my solo stuff, but I like having my own as well so that I can just do that.
Yeah, I got you. Later on, when that one's debut, definitely I will send you an email because I'm very interested in like you. I'm collecting stuff, so I want to get a copy of everything you have done, autograph and everything. So we'll work out the detail, man. For me, as I told before, it's very, very important. I need nowadays younger folks, right? They never touch vinyl and they just saw CD and now they download the stuff in the computer. It's not the same thing. I like physical stuff, right? Like reading a book, It's very different than reading a PDF document, right?
100%.
Go to a concert is very different to listen, put your headphones, drink a beer, and listen to stuff in YouTube. I suppose that if you don't have any money, right, YouTube is kind of the only way. But for me, I want to collect the stuff. I want to open the album, and you are sort of forced to listen to the whole thing, as opposed to you download an album from whatever XYZ artist, and you listen to 10 seconds, you speed up. Next song. Is you move in life. You're moving at a higher speed. That's you gotta smell the roses, like they say here in America.
Yeah. Well, I think also making records, that you're having a relationship with the listener that is different from
Absolutely.
Some people will be listening to your music on their headphones, on MP3 or whatever. But when I think when I buy a record and it's got a beautiful cover and I sit in my, in my room quietly and listen to it, and you really go into that personal space with it and
absolutely,
enjoy it. It's taking time to enjoy listening, and I think that as we didn't really realize until Back to Zero got reissued that our audience was that audience. We kind of thought our audience was people who came to our shows and drank beer and partied, and had a good time. But really, the bigger audience was the audience at home listening on their record players and thinking about the music a little bit more. And, it's always surprised me that there are so few bands like the Night Terrors. Like, there's really never really been another band with a theremin as the lead instrument in a rock band. Like, for us, that was the obvious thing to do. Like, and we thought, as we travel around the world, we're going to discover 50 other bands like this. And there's been hardly any, and certainly not many that have released albums. And so, that's the thing. You think that you're doing something obvious, and no one else is doing it. So
Yeah, but that's the difference. A lot of people, Miles, and I wanna read a quote that somebody interviewed with a while ago, and you responded. A lot of people have good ideas, but fewer people have put it together and then executing those ideas. Having a good strategy is a bit different, right? So I think you say, if people, I want to read that here, if people start telling that you can do something, you should work even harder at it because you are probably just around the corner from a great revelation. The same thing with me. When I put the radio together, I was working with other group of people. I said, no, I want to go on my own. I have a strategy. I want to do different. I put one together, and then I put another one together, and then I began doing interviews, and then I put four to one. I want to launch another 2 by February, and then people began calling me, and now I think the first two artists that I end up emailing, listen, I'm starting, I'm not the BBC, have fewer. People say to me, well, all the big names that you're going after, people would never reply to you or whatever. My first interview with second or so was from people from Genesis.
Yeah, cool. Amazing.
And then another guy from Genesis, and then another guy from Toto. And people, were very receptive. It's true that a lot of people were at home because nobody's touring, but they liked the interview. They liked the kind of question that I was asking. I send a file with stuff located so they can put on their Facebook account as well.
Yeah.
And people people are very, if you're good to people, people are good to you. Let me put it to you that way. And it have been great.
I agree, and you. I mean, you're a fabulous interviewer, and you're actually interested. So many people that we talk to are not that interested.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, I agree. Like what you're talking about here is creating something that's generous. Like these projects that we're doing are generous. They give more than they take. We're not asking our audience to give us stuff. We're saying, here's all of our stuff. And it's this, I think about this a lot, like the gift economy of underground music and DIY music and visual art, and like even the internet. People are giving stuff to make people's lives better. And those of us who make underground music, we're not making money from it. We're definitely not. Like we're keeping our head above water with it, and unless something crazy happens, that's or unless you do a film or a TV thing, and then obviously there's money there. But like we're doing it because we think other people might like it, and it's the enthusiasm for life that is the driving thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said before, for me, my model was I want to be free, right? I'm not asking people for money. Where they want to donate a little bit of money down the road, be like a Patreon system that would be by for. I'm covering all the costs. I want to interview every single musician in the world in different areas, and I knew that some music would apply to certain community and some other. So I like from electronic, from Pink Floyd, from Depeche Mode, Coldplay, Peter Gabriel, Genesis, electronic music, Tangerine Dream, your stuff, and I hit an itch. I noticed that people say, "Man, this is interesting. I never even heard about Mal Brown." And then now that I'm going to be, playing the music in the radio with Goblin and Simonetti and all the other guys, that's if I can help, a little bit of you, help you, helping me, because obviously when I put a new interview, I send an email to my friend, and some people will buy your music. You benefit because now now crazy people in the United States are listening to your music, and it works both ways. As I said before, people help one another, so it's a beautiful thing. And I know your stuff is good. I know your stuff is good, so nobody needs to tell me anything. The other project was Laser for Eyes, right? Feel free to elaborate on that one.
So that was a single that we did. One of the tracks off Spiral Vortex, and we released that before Spiral Vortex, a few years before, on OSCL, which was our drummer Damien Coward's label. That was the sort of the point where we introduced the idea that we were going to be a bit more electronic to the world, and we were like, shit, people don't like this. But it was also, our audience is pretty much open-minded, and so it was much more aggressive. I think the Night Terrors got a lot more aggressive at that moment, and maybe less about the beautiful side of it, and a bit more about the this was when Airs and the Night Terrors had combined into each other's bands, so there was a bit of Airs influence in there. I think on that EP there's a few songs that are not available anywhere else that were sort of live favorites of ours that didn't quite make it onto records. So and a couple of remixes. So.
Now that I know you mentioned that you own a record label, do companies like I don't know, Waxworks, Varese Ravan, Mondo, one of those probably the top 3 or so in the world, have sort of contact you to see if they can buy your rights to try to sell it?
Yeah. Well, Mondo is Death Waltz and Mondo are the same label now. So Mondo, my records, The Gateway and Science Fiction, are both through Mondo. And then the Night Terrors, they licensed Parva Nocturnus from us and did a special coloured vinyl version of that. We have a lot to do with Mondo. And I mean, that's the thing, like when we started the Night Terrors, there wasn't this huge community of horror soundtrack label music, and now it's so big. And I think that I'm very lucky to be able to work with Death Waltz, because they make most of their money from doing reissues of film soundtracks, really big film soundtracks in Mondo. And then that enables them to run the Death Waltz Originals label, which is those of us who are just making music, which is sort of similar, but not attached to movies. And so, that's great. It's a stable place to be releasing records. And so, I mean, we're friendly with all those guys, and, I collect all those records. And there's a whole lot of great new labels like Museum of the Occult and like smaller labels where my Death Waltz label mates are often also releasing on these smaller labels. So, everyone's releasing a lot of stuff and it's going in all these different directions. And so there's a real community of weirdos.
I got you. Let's go back to now the film score. It's an area that you are, I don't know how far have you gone into the film score. Have you done some songs and things for a particular director, or it's an area that you want to try to go into as well?
I'd love to do more, obviously. We've just done short films at the moment for mostly Tasmanian and Victorian, Australian directors. Some of one of them that we did, Watch Me, which is Briny Kids, a short film. It got put into one of those horror anthology movies, which did really well. And so just little bits and pieces. But I would love to do more of it, obviously. It's super fun and a totally different way of working. In the night terrors, it's like stacking lots of ideas up. When you do film music, you want to have hardly anything happening. You're serving the scene and trying to express the emotions of the characters and all that kind of thing. So I love that stuff.
Is any particular movie director in Australia or all over the world that you would like to work with? Somebody were to give you a call tomorrow, well, I'm thinking about a movie about this and that, would you like to?
Yeah. Gosh, so many. Like, I couldn't even think of one on the top of my head. Everybody.
But the top one in Australia, what would be?
I'm thinking my friend John Ofterhide is a director. He did this really cool movie about Tasmanian convicts, like a horror movie called Van Diemen's Land. I'd love to work with John. And, I mean, there's a lot of young horror directors in Australia who are fantastic. So I don't know, like maybe Jennifer Kent, who directed The Babadook. I'd love to work with Jennifer Kent as well. It's I'd love to work with Lee Winnell, who has done a whole bunch of amazing stuff. He's from Melbourne as well. Actually, Damien from Airs has another band called Collapse. They did a few songs for Lee Winnell's last movie, Upgrade. And so, it's around us. I suppose I've always been much more focused on making records and I haven't really pursued it directly, the film thing, but it would be fun. Yeah.
Gotcha. What kind of music do you like to listen to when you are at home, not working, not composing?
I love.
What kind of stuff you like?
I really love the band Messachups. Do you know this band Messachups, a Russian surf band? They are kind of an electronic surf crossover band. My theremin teacher, Lydia Kavina, plays on some of their records.
Yeah.
I like that kind of thing. I actually listen to a lot of old lounge music and to relax. I really enjoy all that old sort of ultra lounge stuff and but just a whole range of stuff. Like I collect a lot of ambient synth records. I love 70s. I've been listening to a lot of Julie Tzuki. Do you know Julie Tzuki? She's a fabulous American singer from the 70s. This record called I Am the Phoenix, which I discovered in lockdown, which I fucking love. I listen to a lot of Japanese, 80s Japanese stuff, like the Yellow Magic Orchestra guys and their solo projects. I spent a lot of money on records last year because we were trapped in our houses, so I just bought a lot of records.
How big is your vinyl collection? Thousands, hundreds?
No, it's only just starting. So I've probably got like only about 300, not very many. I'm just at the beginning of my vinyl journey. But
it's like an addiction.
Oh, total addiction, yeah. And I mean, it's terrible because now I've got to the point where I'm starting to buy stuff I've got on CD, on vinyl. That's when you know you're in trouble. Yeah, but like a lot of different stuff. I really love collecting my friends my other horror disco kind of friends' records. Jello Disco, that is a great label. My friend Anthony Mayovi's label.
Yep.
I DJ that kind of music as well, so I buy a lot of that stuff.
How does it feel, more like a personal question, how does it feel that your music, with all the different venues that you're working in, resonate with and connect with people?
Oh, it's amazing. And it's always very surprising. And I think, originally when we started the Night Terrors, we didn't expect people to enjoy it necessarily. We were sort of experimenting with it. And the fact that people's reaction to it was always an emotional reaction, and that people would, we used to play gigs and people would come up to the merch table and be like, "Oh, you made me cry." And we'd be like, "Sorry, was it really terrible?" And they'd be like, "No, it was very emotional." And so
absolutely, yeah,
that's the theremin doing its thing sort of automatically. And you don't know what your music is like when you make it. Like for you, it seems like the most obvious thing in the world. You're like, "Oh, right. That idea came through." How obvious? Because it's your idea, or you're the person who gets the idea out into the world. So you never know how people are going to understand it. I think the most valuable comment we ever got was someone who said, "Thank you for being so weird and still making records, because it encouraged me to be weird and make my weird record." And
that's right.
If that's the legacy that we have, that makes me happy. That's what I want.
For when you guys were touring with the Night Record, the second album, third, in Australia, how many people will go to a particular theater? We're talking about 500, 1,000, 300? How many?
Yeah, it really varies in Australia. Australia is a conservative place, really. And so our music does really well in Melbourne, does really well in Sydney. Yeah, and doesn't do so well in other towns. We do well in Tasmania because that's where we're from. For the Night Terrors, the big place is Europe. Like
Europe, yeah.
We have an amazing time in Europe. We have great time in Italy, especially. We have great time in Germany. We have great time in Spain. It's what we're doing is really art music. And it references the history of art music, and it references the history of film music and, synth music. And the audiences in America and the audiences in Europe are more, they know about that more. And also they just value something different. If in Australia, you don't get that many touring musicians through, but in bigger countries like in Europe and America, you see a lot of music and you get sick of hearing the same thing all the time. And, we're always really, really shocked at how much people get what we're trying to say, even though we have no words in our music. And,
I'm quite sure here in the United States, you guys will do very well because, obviously with 350 million, and also with a wide range of listeners, people tastes and stuff like that, is you always, like myself, right? I'm always looking for new different things, for new artists, for new different type of music in general is very important. So yeah. I enjoy I will enjoy your latest album, as well as I will enjoy the latest album from Peter Gabriel or Coldplay or whatever.
Yeah. And I think that's different. Like when we went to Europe the first time, we were playing a gig in Germany, and some older people came up to the merch table to buy records and T-shirts from us. Yeah. And people in their 70s, and our keyboard player was like, "Oh, is this for your kids?" And they were like, "No, it's for me."
For me.
And it's different in Australia. There aren't so many people who continue collecting music and being interested about new music. As they get older, the culture is different. And so, but I love that about America. I love it about Europe, that people are they never stop being excited about new music, and particularly the kinds of people who are looking for unusual sounds. Then it's a lifelong something called a source of joy for your whole life. And my plan always was, for the second half of my life to get weirder and make more and more difficult music until when I'm 80, where it's almost unlistenable. That's my plan.
That's it. Well, you need to follow up with your plan, man. Well, as far as you as not as a person, but as a musician now, what sort of musicians in Australia you admire, or people over the world?
Musicians that I admire.
Yeah. What people?
I love a band that I discovered this year, which I love, is called Molasses. They're a Dutch prog rock band, prog sort of metal band, with this singer, the most amazing singer. She sounds like a female Bruce Dickinson combined with the devil, just fabulous. I love that stuff. One of my tracks was on a Roadburn, the festival Roadburn in Europe. They have a Spotify playlist, and they put one of my tracks on there, and I discovered a whole bunch of great music just from being on that. I love, there are some fabulous other theremin players in the world now. Carolina Eick is a German theremin player. She's amazing, making a lot of great music. Grégoire Blanc is a French thereminist who's incredible and who looks like he's about to release a whole lot of original music. So the theremin world has become much more inspiring to me than it was in the past. Yeah. In terms of local Australian music, there's an awful lot of incredible stuff coming out now. I think that underground music in Australia is really on the rise. Bands like AN, who are a local sort of electronic, sort of dark goth electronic band, they're fabulous. There's a band called None, who are a synth punk kind of thing, who are really fabulous. I don't know, I'm kind of excited about everything.
Where is a particular website that you listen for kind of underground new band, playing in Australia, or?
In Australia, Triple R Radio, which is Melbourne's community radio, is probably the best place to check out Melbourne bands. They have a bunch of new music shows on that. It's all available on demand. And PBS FM as well in Melbourne. They both, you'll hear the latest Australian music there.
Gotcha. If you have the opportunity to play with any musician in the world, one Australian, one outside Australia, who there will be? Only two.
Okay. Well, we haven't played with John Carpenter yet, so I really want that to happen. And we almost played with John Carpenter a few times.
Really?
Quite a few times. They were going to bring him out here to play at Dark Mofo Festival, but he doesn't like flying. So they've never quite got John Carpenter here, which means I'm going to have to go to America to play with John Carpenter, but I'm going to do that. And then in Australian act, I would probably the Divinals, even though Chris Amphlett has passed away, but I love the Divinals. I actually did play with the Divinals when I was playing bass in someone else's band at a festival many years ago, but that would be my dream.
Yeah, man, if you can get a hold of John Carpenter, let me know, because I would love to interview the guy as well. It's very difficult to get. Plus, he's getting up there with age, so he doesn't fewer events, I
think that John Carpenter, the fact that he's still making records has a lot to do with his kids and his nephew and his son, I think, are in his band. I've seen footage of the live show. It looks really cool. I just want to see it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I have only another two questions. So what are your plans for the near future? Any new recording, any gigs, any new touring?
So I've just made a new record of much softer material. So the Gateway was like party music, and this is like the sort of companion record that's much softer and more like the sort of ballad tracks that are on Back to Zero.
Yeah.
That's probably the most similar to Back to Zero record that I've made since then. So that will be coming out. I'm not sure exactly when the label wants to put it out. And then the Narcolepta has our album that's finished and you're sitting right here. So we'll be releasing that really soon.
Yeah.
And New Night Terrors is really the main thing. So Sarah and I are, deep in the composition hole at the moment, getting that finished. It's going to be a different kind of thing. We want to get more into the sort of dueling guitar and synth and bass thing, a bit heavier record, but with big, much proggier as well. I think it'll be a double album, just because we've got so much material, and we haven't done a Night Terrors. Like last year was actually our 21st anniversary, and we didn't get to do anything because of the pandemic. So we really want to do something. Yeah.
Where and also where people can buy your music.
So milesbrown.com.au. Everything is available there, and there's links to all the other projects and everything. That's the central place.
All right, man. So that was our interview with Miles, and I love your music. Keep on working. Keep on doing all these different projects because that's very different. The Night Terror, the Collector, and keep us on the loop. Would like to play your music as much as I can on the radio, the old stuff, the new stuff, and new project that you're putting together, because like you have 10 ideas in your head at the same time, man. So keep us posted, and I will after the interview I will send you the link, and I will send you a file for your social media account, as well as I'm very interested in buying all your stuff, so I will send you an email and we can work something out there.
Thank you, Claudio, and thank you very much for having me on your show. It's really a pleasure to speak to you.
My pleasure, man. I like your stuff. Yeah. We are different. I don't care what the synonym I like it. Whether you like your stuff, I don't know why. I don't understand why people pay, I don't know, 200 million for from Picasso. I don't understand it, but some people do. The same with kind of music. Other people say, man, this is creepy. This guy looks like Nosferatu. I don't care. I like it. You like it or you like it, right? So there's a market
right.
for everything.
Yeah, that's right. There's plenty of fish in the sea, as they say.
That's really great. Thank you, Miles, again. Have a great day today, man. I appreciate for your time and looking forward to hearing from you, man. Keep up the good work, man.
Thank you very much. All the best, Claudio. Cheers.
No problem. Take it easy, man.